Shifting focus from memory and knowledge to application of knowledge is critical. And adopting global best practices. The West, China, and many other countries have implemented many methods of assessments that are far more advanced than the standard assessments that we are clinging on to. There are two options. One is obviously a slightly longer change, which is to introduce completely new assessment formats. It will take time for the system to imbibe and adopt. The other is to use technology at least to improve and streamline the quality of evaluations in the present framework itself. Let's look at a couple of such examples. One is the world of simulations. Immersive environment-based learning, immersive environment-based assessments are now becoming the buzzword in the West. It's not new again. Flight simulators have been used for a very long time to train pilots. Simulators are being used in the field of medicine, in the field of surgery. It's just that it is just getting restricted to a few areas. It's about time that we brought some of those ideas onto our regular assessments as well. What does simulation do? Test takers are subjected to real-life situations, completely simulated, of course. They are asked to solve problems with the skills that they have learned or the knowledge that they've acquired. What are the advantages? The advantages are the results of the simulations often offer rich data about the test taker. It typically doesn't just offer you a score. It doesn't say 30 out of 70. 30 out of 70 doesn't make any sense, or 30 out of 100 doesn't make any sense. It offers multidimensional assessments of understanding and learning. That's the key word here. Most of the other methodologies that we presently use are unidimensional. A question is asked, and the answer to that question is given. In a simulation environment, it is never an ask and give. It is a do and show. So you do something, it impacts something else in the simulation. You do something else, it impacts something else in simulation. And that's how real life is always all about. Real life is never about, you don't go into work every morning expecting to answer 30 questions and coming out of it. Right? Next day you go, another 30 questions are posed by your boss. That's not how it is. Your boss asks you to do some things. One of the examples of immersive environment that we as a company have launched is a tool that is used to look at various key attributes of managerial ability using a game format. Right? It is played in the game format where a test taker is actually part of a virtual team that organizes and executes a college fest. And why a college fest? A college fest, in a sense, as most of us would know, involves a lot of operations and activities that are very akin to how you run a company, how you take a big decision. It involves looking in finances, it involves human relations, it involves planning for strategy, planning for contingencies, strategic planning of what decisions to take, what priorities to do, analysis of data, and coming out with the result and a report as well. It involves, this is what immersive is all about. The student actually gets to hear from a so-called principal of a school on the objectives of the fest. Right? You just hear that, you comprehend, and you understand what the objectives are. So it's not going to be, these are the 4 things you need to do. It's going to be let's say a 2 or 3 minute speech. And the speech has certain things that can be taken as objectives for the student to do. What does it test? It tests the student on comprehension. It tests the student on understanding. It tests the student on prioritization. He understands the key objectives, and his student is provided with a ton of reports, reports about who are the key stakeholders in a college fest. Students, sponsors, celebrities, right? So there are reports about each of them, and of course your own team members. There are multiple reports that are made available to the student. The student has to read through the reports, understand it, analyze it, and figure out what his strategies are. And what are his strategies? Who will he select for various roles in the project team? Who will he, what kind of students will he invite? Are there any student festivals that are clashing? What kind of celebrities will he invite? How will the celebrities come in? So all of this is already simulated. So for example, there could be a celebrity who's deeply interested in the area of arts. If the student were to send that celebrity an invite for judging an event that is all about science and robotics, the chances are the celebrity will turn away from that event. These are the kind of real-life simulations that we have built into the system. Right? At the end of it, the student is measured by the total number of students that have attended the function and the revenue that has got generated. There are multiple scenarios that are thrown at him. For example, towards probably the end of simulation, the student will get a message saying that the person who had entrusted with the task of arranging catering has decided to pull off. Right? So if the student, for example, had enough funds available with him, he then has the ability to go and get an alternative. If he has not done that amount of strategy and contingency planning, obviously he will lose out big time. So this is just one example of a simulation-based assessment. There are assessments today that are being used for simulating accounting scenarios, doing very, very simple simulations like, for example, we know of a professor of a medical school who is now trying to introduce, even in the basic MCQ questionnaire, a methodology by which instead of asking some black and white diagrams, he's actually posting in photographs of the viscera of patients and asking students to identify what the problem with the patient is. Now that brings about far more healthier evaluation of a student than just asking him, what is it that lies beneath the stomach, right? It's way too simplistic. Now let's just quickly jump across to the other part, which is how do you use technology for solving some of our present day problems itself, right? And problems that we will have to live with. Descriptive exams are the backbone of Indian education system. It has been for many years. India generates more than 130 million answer scripts in the higher education space alone every single year. And each answer script is 28 pages, 30 pages. So just imagine the amount of man hours spent by professors and teachers in correcting them. It increases the increasing issues in evaluation quality and speed of evaluations. Results are getting declared 4 months after an exam is over. What's the point of telling someone that you've actually not done well in part 1 of this particular subject 4 months after he's already started studying part 2? There is absolutely no point doing that, right? Is there a technology solution that can help today in this? Yes, the answer is yes. It is a technology called on-screen marking technology. It's been very widely used in the West. Especially in UK and Europe, which pretty much mimics or let's say represents the similar kind of descriptive exam scenario that we do. The US doesn't do so many descriptive examinations. Essentially what is this technology all about? It is human-based marking on computers using digitized answer scripts. Answer scripts are digitized, scanned into images, and there is an application that helps markers to be anywhere in the world, connected on the internet, and mark those scripts. Right? It has intuitive features like inserting ticks, crosses, comments, highlights, etc., which typically a marker would do on a regular paper pencil answer script. It provides speed, accuracy, transparency, efficiency, and the exam board has far more control over the entire evaluation process. Just a quick schematic diagram of how the process works. The papers are scanned and transmitted. Copies of these images are then distributed electronically and are marked. Question level marks and examiners' annotations are captured about the marking process, and these scripts then can be made available online to students to download and see what the markers have actually done with the papers. What does it do? It brings down revaluation requests. It brings down retotaling requests. These consume 30-35% of the time of most universities every single year. In summary, we are at a stage in history, I think, where if we grab the opportunity the right way, we can be the undisputed world knowledge superpower. What does it need? It needs a need for some of the baggage and legacy systems of the past to be left behind. Adopt technology as a key driver of change. Embrace technology. Unfortunately, education has been very, very slow in embracing technology. Every other sphere of life has gone pace to pace with the cutting edge of technology. Be it mobile telephony, be it any other equipment that you see around your house. Hybrid interactive teaching and assessment mechanisms. As I said, it's not that simulations alone will work. It has to be a healthy mix. There is definitely a need for our existing system. No, we are not saying it is completely obsolete, but there are improvements to be made. There are things to be learned from the other parts of the world, and both have to be implemented together to make it a more effective evaluation system for our examinations. Look at international best practices, customize it for India, and start using them. Right? These are some thoughts from me representing Merit Track, which is a skills assessment company. I can now call upon the next speaker to